Hi, and thanks for stopping by. Today I'm going to be demonstrating the Mishima technique. This is an ancient Japanese technique of inlaying colour into a pattern. So today I've got a mug that I have pressed lace into, and it has been bisqued, and I'm going to apply the underglaze in there and then wipe it off. So it's just one way of applying the Mishima technique, and I love doing it. It's a whole lot of fun, and I hope you enjoy watching too. So the first thing we're going to do is wipe our mug down. These mugs have been fired a little while ago and they do get dusty, so we don't want to have any dust on the surface of our mug. So I've just got a bit of water over to the side here that I am squeezing my sponge into, and make sure that you get all of the dust off. This is important for any glazing, especially for a gloss glaze, which this isn't, but that will be the next stage, to cover this in a clear gloss, and we don't want to have any dust in there. Okay, now I've got my underglaze here. I've chosen a turquoise blue colour, and I'm going to paint it all over, making sure that we get it into all of the crevices. So it won't flow in there like a gloss glaze might, so we need to make sure we get that colour all the way in. Now I'm just going to do a check over to make sure I've got all of the crevices. Sometimes if your glaze is very thick, and I've done this with a darker blue, I've managed to just paint in the very deep crevices, and during the wiping off, the colour spreads. But this one is a little bit thinner and a bit more liquid, and that's not going to work. So you can always just do a little test and see how your colour spreads when you start wiping it. So I'm going to take my sponge and dip it in my water, which is just off to the side here, and give it a really good squeeze out. You don't want it to be too wet, because then the water will run into the pattern and start clearing away the glaze where you don't want it to. So you just need to be quite firm and wipe off the surface. Helps if you've got a really clean pattern to work with. And then you'll need to rinse and repeat with your sponge. Give it a good clean out and a squeeze, so to make sure that it's really not dripping before you apply it to the pot. So The clay that I'm using here is a porcelain. This one, I can't actually remember which exact one it is. So it is going to be a white clay because we want the contrast between the blue and the white of the clay to be nice and crisp. It's going to get covered with a clear glaze, and that's going to show up the colour of the clay. So once you're finished, and just have a check over, make sure you haven't wiped any colour where you don't want it to be. With a clean sponge, wipe it off. And then check the surface as well to make sure that you have got a nice clean surface and you've cleared the colour away from all the spots that you want it to be gone from. And there we are, all done and ready for its clear glaze. So there we go, we're done. And you can see now that the colour has been inlaid into the pattern, and you can see that pattern nice and bright. And we're going to put a clear glaze over the top and fire that again and see what we get in the end. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, share, subscribe, do all the things. And I'd love to see you again. I love your comments and feedback, this being my very first YouTube video, so feel free to send me some comments and I'd love to have a chat. See you later.